We do have some aftermarket to look at. So let's start with some resin. So this is from Barracuda Cast, and it is the little circular vent that goes on the air intake for the carburetors. And although the plastic one was not bad at all, you can see that really makes a difference in terms of how thin those walls are. So it's just a little tiny detail that will make a big difference to it. So that's the first thing. Next thing is some replacements for some of the decals. Now, I really bought these actually for the ability to paint the roundels rather than using the decals. Decals at this scale start becoming a little bit problematic. They're doable, definitely doable, but a little bit problematic. So what you get in this set is you get enough to do these two versions. So you don't get the camouflage, but what you get is you get the roundels, you get the letters, you get the markings for the tail, and you get the cockpit inside and out. So that's really quite handy because it means you can mask and paint and do a good job of it, and that includes the car door windows, so which is not something supplied in the kit. The vinyl, so you can lie them down quite easily and you can reuse them, which is nice, and they're very sharp on the cut, so you've got no jagged edges. They come out, I have used them before, they are really quite good. I actually used the same brand on my Hellcat and did check pattern on them, and it turned out brilliant. So yeah, these are really good. But yeah, really nice masking set there. Now it also adds some options in terms of what you want to do in the paint schemes. So nothing dramatically different to what Airfix are already giving you, but you can swap the letters around and do these if you wish. And we've got one there with a one black wing underneath and some white panels, which is quite interesting. So it just gives you a few more options. So that's a quite nice little addition. They're from Montex, and that's the item number there, K24086, and they're called Super Mask. And finally, we have a big head set. So let's take a look at what we're getting that. So the big head set in this case is truly a lot of etch. We've got the interior set, we've got the flaps set, landing flap set, we've got the engine set, we've got seat belts, and we've got the wing armament set, and we have some masks. So let's have a look at the masks first. Now I can't remember in what order I bought these, whether I got the mask set before I got the big head, but the truth of the matter is this won't do the roundels, which is what I was after. This will do the cockpit most likely. So we get a little yellow sheet, as is always the way, die cut, ready to go, and we have masks for the outside edges, and then you have to well, it says here use liquid mask to fill in the gaps, which is something they're doing more and more, I've noticed. And then we've got the main windows covered off, and the wheel hubs so you can spray the tyres. And the centre of that part, I'm still not quite sure what that is. So yeah, some interesting masks, including some bits we've not already got, so that's handy. But what I really wanted the big head set for was the engine, so let's have a look at that next. So the engine set is perhaps a little bit misleading. It's really the framework of the fuselage in the engine area, but what it does give us, as you can see here, is a very nice replacement to the plastic mesh that didn't look great, and we were talking about possibly removing that. Well, the etch does that for us, so that's really handy. So let's just have a look at the instructions. So we get a single instruction page, and what we've got is a band, which is that piece there, which goes around the life ring. We've got some clips, which are these items here, which replace the moulded plastic and give us some nicer detail, so that is nice. And then we've got these, which appear to mould around the inside, so if you wanted to show the part built up, then you've got some detail on the inside, which is really quite nice. And then if we fold it over, we've got some replacement detail for these panels here, and then a replacement for the plastic mesh. So it doesn't give you that much. Obviously they felt that the engine itself was detailed enough, but if I know Edward, there might be some detail for the engine in another one of the sets. But there we go, that's the detailing set, and it will actually look really nice on the inside of those plastic parts and give a little bit of detail if you want to use them. The thing that I really wanted out of the engine set was this mesh. So yeah, and the other bits and pieces, they're just a bonus really. The next set is the wing armament set, and we just have one fret there with etch parts on. And as we look at the instructions, we can see we've got some modifications being made to the wing strut. We've got some detail part goings on the struts inside the wings, and we have the little fastener loops going in inside the edge there, so that looks really nice. And then on the plastic parts that we saw for the actual gun bay openings that you prop up on the fold up on the wing, they have some nice detail going into there, which will just make that look a little bit more realistic. So as I look at that, you can see the little grooves there. We run a biro down there, and it gives you a little lump on the other side. It makes it look really realistic as a pressed piece of metal, and some more detail to go around there. So quite a bit on those, which is good because they're quite a focus when they're on the wing opened up. And then as we flip it open, we've got new ammunition boxes, which need to be folded, and at this side probably soldered up, and then we have the plastic parts going in there. It's suggesting you put some plastic rod in for it to sit on, and then we've got a little handle and a bracket and bits and pieces to just make that look more box-like. So I guess you could probably have it empty as well if you wanted to show an empty box with the ammunition spent. That might look interesting as well. So yeah, quite a cool little update there, just a little bit of detail, but that's the main thing it does, which is going to be one of the focal points if you have them open. So when we come to do the harnesses, the seat belts, what they've done is they've given you how to fit them for both the different seat styles. as used in options A, C, D and B. Strangely, they've given you 2 sets. So there's item 1, item 2 and item 3, 2 sets of. So I'm not quite sure what that is, but if you're intending to buy and build a second one, that's very handy. And it gives you 2 bites at the cherry if you're not happy with it. What we appear to do is cut away and then just mount it as a complete unit down the back of the seat in that instance, or in this instance it gets mounted, so that'll be the one with the cushioned pattern on. It gets mounted behind the seat and bends over. So yeah, and they look very, very nice indeed. So saves you a job of painting, and we've got all the little adjustable holes visible, so I think that's a nice little upgrade. So the interior set doesn't replace the whole set of dials as you might expect. What it does do is it modifies them. So we've got some little rings to go on, which I think are those there, and 1 or 2 little bits and pieces to enhance the board of dials there with some etch, but it hardly really touches them. So I think that's quite interesting, because you'd usually expect them to replace the whole thing. Then what they are doing is replacing some of the controls and then adding some bits and pieces, so knobs and switches and bits and pieces, a little bit of plastic rod needed as well. They're adding some more cabling, in that case to the control stick, facing the ratchet on the seat, I think that is. And then as we flick it over, we've got, not quite sure what that is, but we've got 2 surfaces being faced off, more controls being put in, more plastic card needed, and then facing off some of the plastic parts just to add some realism. And then quite a few components there going on the clear plastic car door. So we've got a frame going on the inside with all the little fasteners and bits and pieces on. So that might be interesting to do once we've painted it. And then we've got a handle. Looks like a little, is that like windy handle, or I'm guessing that's the handle that triggers opening the door. And then we've got a replacement part for what the photo etch straps will go in. So yeah, and when I look at these are definitely not the worst pre-coloured etch parts that I've seen. They're not too lumpy and grainy as they quite often can be. So they actually look really quite nice, those. Then finally we have the landing flaps, and there wasn't really much wrong with the ones with the kit, but what this does is it gives you a bit more definition, some more fastener detail, and ultimately when these are put in position, these will be that much thinner than the plastic parts. So they're all attached so that it's quite easy to just fold them up and put them into place, and then you have a little bit of folding to do to shape the actual flap, but not difficult to do. A little bit of part removal there.